Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and today we are going to be doing a second weekly reading vlog during July. So some weird stuff happened and I am working from home for 2 weeks in a row at least. So I decided that because of that I'm going to be able to read a lot more, and therefore I am going to vlog that experience with you all because it's probably going to be a lot. The reasons why I'm working from home, if you haven't watched the last video, go watch that one first, but I'm going to get into a little bit more detail here, so get ready, watch that one first so you can understand what I'm about to talk about, and then you'll be ready to watch this one. There were a few COVID cases at my work, so they had us all transitioning to working from home so that we could be safe and quarantined. I woke up this weekend. It's been 6 days since I've been in the office, and I woke up this morning with cold symptoms, very mild. I got interrupted. So I don't remember what exactly I was saying, but basically we are trying to be as safe and healthy as we possibly can. So I'm pretty much like quarantined to my room and my bathroom at this end of the house for this next coming week because I can't get my parents sick. So it's going to be a really interesting week, and I'm sorry that the view is going to be pretty much the same throughout the week, but safety is more important than that. Also, I am filming right now on my iPad, so I think these settings are going to get really funky when I bring it into edit. I'm doing it so that I can update you guys about stuff that I'm reading, which is saved on my phone. Normally I film on my phone. Oh, next life update. This week it seems like my best friend is going to be getting married, so that's really exciting because of COVID. We don't live near each other anyways, but because of COVID, I am not able to fly out to the wedding. Even before I got tested, we had talked and I wasn't gonna fly out, so it's not like a new thing because of today. And I am going to be zooming in whenever that happens, so that's really exciting. And I also get to do some paperwork online because of legal reasons that I'm not going to go into because I don't need them recorded on YouTube. So let's talk about the next thing that's kind of stressing me out this week, and that is Scribd. I started using Scribd in April. It was March or April. It was right around the time that I got furloughed. And I got furloughed the last week of March. And so I started using them because originally when I was in college, I used Overdrive because my library there had access to it. And then when I moved back home, my library here doesn't have Overdrive, so my card expired back in my college place and I no longer had access to it. So I had been looking for something to replace that, and Scribd was like the best solution. And I was enjoying it a lot because I was using it mostly for audiobooks and whatnot, and every once in a while an ebook, but they started getting more and more ridiculous, where my first month of using them, I listened to probably 7 things before they started taking things away from me. So they say that it's an unlimited service, but what that really means is that you will always be able to find something to read, but they take away certain titles the more you read so that publishers are fair and everyone gets a fair listen. There's a whole entire spiel you can read online about it. It's not really unlimited, basically. So they started taking things away. Maybe to give them the benefit of the doubt, it was around 5 audiobooks. They would start taking books away. They slowly lessened the number as the time was going on, and in June they started taking stuff away, like lots of stuff away, when I had listened to only 1 audiobook. And so I complained to them about it, and I have dealt with their customer service multiple times because their app has given me multiple problems. And they've always kind of given me the same responses on their customer service, which is really annoying because they make it seem like this person who's interested in what you're saying, but it very much feels like a robot and programmed responses. So this final time I was just like, hey, things are getting taken away after my first listen. I don't think this is right. Is there anything you guys can do about it? They didn't respond to me until I think it was 2 days before the end of the month, so I had already continued to listen to other things. It was 28 days later, and the guy was basically like, I don't see what the issue is. The stuff goes away when you keep listening. And I was like, yeah, But like I said, things went away on my first listen, and this has never happened before, but it's slowly getting less and less. He gave me then the pre-programmed response that I have received actually before, talking to other people about this kind of issues on Scribd, and I was just like, dude, I'm not okay with this. This isn't cool. I think I'm gonna cancel my subscription. I got another pre-programmed response, and I would have put up with it more, except that I found online that in the county near mine, they have Overdrive at their library, and you could online pay for a library card that would give you access to it. So I had, and this is all in June when I started doing this, before they had even responded back, but after I had made my complaint, sent in my application to get a card through that county, and they accepted me, and so I paid the dues, and I had actually run into a few issues with them and dealt with their customer service, and it was so much nicer. They would get back to me within 24 hours. They would always sound like a human was talking to me. They'd be the politest people ever. They'd be so understanding, and it was just waves of difference. And I did the math, and I am paying more per month to get Overdrive, but I get unlimited, like really legitimately unlimited stuff. Like whatever they have, I can get it. It doesn't go away if I listen to one audiobook. So I have been working on figuring out which one I want to keep, and I definitely want to keep Overdrive. I understand that not everyone can get Overdrive, but I would not recommend Scribd at this point. It's not worth it. It is kind of a scam, honestly. I think that it's good if you're hoping to listen to like one audiobook a month, maybe 2 or 3, but I wanted to use it like a library where I could listen to 5 to 7 audiobooks a month, especially like shorter audiobooks, and it was never going to be that. And it's really frustrating because they market themselves as something different than that. I decided to pay for 1 more month of Scribd because there were a few titles on there that I couldn't get through Overdrive. So I narrowed it down to 6 titles that I would really like to listen to. 4 of them I really, really want to listen to, and out of those 4, 3 of them are musts for me. So I'm going to listen to those 3 first, and then whatever I still have access to out of the other 3, I'm going to try to get to in this next month, and whatever I don't get to, I'm canceling my subscription at the end of the month. Let me go through what I'm trying to listen to with them. So some of these titles you'll recognize if you've seen my 12 and 12 video that I just posted. So I really want to get to the audiobook We, Severance, The One, and then I also would really like to get to No Exit, Foe, and then Prince of Thorns. And the reason why I'm a little bit on the fence about Prince of Thorns is because I've been hearing some stuff online about Mark Lawrence, and I'm kind of like, should I support him at all? I don't know. I've never read one of his books, but I do own Red Sister. I already bought it from a thrift store, so like I should read it, right? But then also like I'm not gonna get into that this week anyways. So those are the ones I'm hoping to get to soon, and my dumb brain wants to read them all right now and has decided that basically I need to read them this week so that I can cancel Scribd before I forget about it, or before I accidentally pay for another month, or before they start taking things away from me again. So I'm going to try my hardest to listen to those this week. At least I want to get to We, Severance, and The One, which they're all not that long, so I should be able to do that. But then on top of that, because I had just come back into Overdrive and it was so new and fresh, I decided to check out / hold, like place holds on tons and tons of books. So I currently have from the library 7 books, I think. 7 books on hold. Sorry, 7 books loaned to me, and then 6 books on hold, one of which is going to show up probably this week, although I think I did manage to shift out my hold a little bit. So I need to also listen to those. Currently, I'm in the middle of Jade City by Fonda Lee, which I am enjoying. I'm 50% through, so I'm hoping to finish that tomorrow. I'm also in the middle of Gideon the Ninth, which I only have 3 hours left, I think, but I own that one, so that one isn't a huge problem. I also have from them The Rage of Dragons, which is also in the 12 and 12 video. I have All the Stars and Teeth, The Ruin of Kings, The Will of the Empress, Serpent and Dove, which are all being used for different videos that I have coming out very shortly. And then I also decided to check out The Lives of Locke Lamora because I DNF'd that in a previous video, and I'd like to give it a second chance now that I can rent it instead of owning it. I think might help me a little bit. Anyways, and then on top of all of that, I put all this pressure on myself to read the books that I currently own, and I have been recently buying some new books because reasons. Mostly those reasons are because books. So I have been buying more books than I have been reading, and the good news is I didn't buy any more physical books that are here right now. I pre-ordered a few physical books that'll be coming out in the rest of 2020. I want to literally read everything, and it's starting to stress me out because I have all these script books I need to finish before the end of the month. I have all these library books that are due back shortly and I need to finish, and then I have all these books that I own that I want to finish because I need to get through them. I bought them, I need to get through them. And then on top of that, I also have an arc that I'm currently reading that needs to be finished by the 21st because that's when the book is published, and I'm just having a hard time focusing. Basically what's happening is I'm stressing myself out by all of the options of books that I have right now and all of the things that I need to get done, and I'm basically just not doing any of it because it's seeming like it is impossible to accomplish because there's so much to do. And instead of like starting and slowly chipping away at it and slowly getting things knocked off my to-do list, I'm panicking at how much there is and then the fact that I won't be able to accomplish any of it like in the next few days, and I'm just not doing any of it. So my goal, and this is why I'm talking to all of you guys about this, because I think that having some like talks about panics and stress is really good to be open with you all, but then also to talk about like goal actualization and trying to accomplish it is also very, very important. So now we're finally at the part of the video where you're going to understand what the rest of this week looks like. I apologize, we're like 10 minutes into the video. Anyways, the rest of this week is going to look like tomorrow I am hoping to finish Jade City and Gideon the Ninth. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do that because it's going to be like 8 hours of audiobook listening to do that, but I'm going to try my hardest. So this is where I'm at in Gideon the Ninth. I did pick it up and I did end up not physically reading it. I ended up just listening to the audiobook, and that is simply because the audio narrator is so fantastic. She does a great job. So after I finish Jade City and Gideon the Ninth, I am going to listen to We. That's my next one because it's only 6 hours long. And then after that, I'm going to listen to Severance, and then I'm going to tackle The One, which will be interesting because those three are going to be very kind of outside of my norm. So we'll see how I deal with listening to 3 books in a row that are not my traditional. And then after that, I'm going to see what Scribd still is offering me. If it's none of the books I want, then I'll be canceling my membership. And then, so after those 3, I am going to go back to Libby, and I'm going to, Overdrive and Libby are the same thing, by the way. I'm going to listen to at least one of these books. I'd really like to get Serpent and Dove knocked out because it's been on my to-do list for a while now, but also I really, really want to listen to The Rage of Dragons and All the Stars and Teeth, but also The Ruin of Kings and The Will of Emperors. And basically every single thing that's on my list is something I want to get to this week and I can't do it. So the Newt's prompts came out this morning. So the first thing I did after finishing work was print them out and highlight in pink the ones that I have to do to get my job that I want to have, and then I highlighted in yellow ones that I wanted to do in other classes if I have free time afterwards. I really want to sit down and pick some books for it right now. I'm afraid that if I do that, I'll end up reading the books before August starts because it's already July 13th, so I still have half of July to get reading done. Anyways, I finished Jade City this morning, just maybe 30 minutes ago, and I've been kind of thinking about it in my head instead of talking to you guys about it. I enjoyed the book. I didn't absolutely love it, but I really, really enjoyed it. So after punching in all of the numbers into my version of Cawpile, which I'll be talking about one day on my channel, I decided to rate it 4 stars So I really loved the characters and I really loved the world. It was a low fantasy, Chinese, I believe, inspired fantasy where it was definitely like influenced by gangs and drug use and all of that stuff that happens specifically in China. And so it took place kind of more modern day. I think this was like 1900s China, and it followed one family of a gang as they were like rivaling this other gang and trying to be in control of the jade in this city. And where the fantasy elements come in is that jade allows, if you're like wearing jade or touching jade, it allows you to have superhuman abilities where you could like move faster, carry more weight, and I think you could even like sense people's emotions and thoughts if they were close enough to you. So that was really interesting. So yeah, I loved the world and I really loved the characters. We specifically follow 4 children of this family. They're not like kids, they're adults as they are like coming in to be the next people to rule the family. You have the 2 sons and then the daughter. The oldest son wants to, or is like in charge of the family. The second oldest one is like the like hired thug. He like goes out and beats people up. The daughter doesn't want anything to do with the family. She went off to like make a name for herself and has come back because she doesn't quite know what to do with herself and she's trying to figure out what she should do. And the 4th kid is an adopted boy and he's like in school training to become someone in this family, and it's super important that he's adopted, but I won't necessarily talk about why. I liked the world. I loved the characters. I enjoyed the plot. It was very much like a heist book. It was heavy politics. They weren't stealing anything, but there was like a lot of twists and turns and a lot of like, oh my god, you think something is happening and then like, nope, this is over here what's happening. Like it kind of reminded me of when you watch Ocean's 11 and you're like, oh my god, that's what they were actually planning the entire time, except there's no heist. It's just politics and gang violence and all that kind of stuff. I think that the logic of the world wasn't super fantastic. I think the magic system could have been delved into more or shown on page more. I also think that the author is a woman. I believe she's Chinese. She had this nice balance of like some of the women were in power and some of them weren't, but the women who weren't in power were treated very terribly, and I don't love that. And I get that it was like realistic of China basically always with women, but it's just, I feel like if you're gonna write a fantasy book, it's nice to not have that. But then again, it's real and she had women who weren't like that, so it's hard for me to talk about that because I get it. I do. I understand. I just didn't love it myself. I don't think I would have necessarily picked it up after chapter 1 if I had known that it was a low fantasy. I definitely prefer high fantasy, but I am glad I read it because I did end up enjoying it a lot. I don't think I'll continue on to the sequel unless I hear like absolutely amazing things about it, but even then, I don't know, I felt like this was a nice little bundle in and of itself. Okay, so I stayed up much later than I meant to reading Legacy of Ash. I only made it 40 pages in, and that's simply because basically every 2 pages I had to stop to talk to, there they go again, my Discord for my book club. We are picking our next book to read either tomorrow or the day after. I think tomorrow is the first vote, and then it is officially picked on the 15th. So we're kind of all talking about books that we're excited to read, and I'm setting up the poll and everything. So it's probably been like 2 hours since I sat down to start reading this, and I'm only 40 pages in, but I'm loving it, and I'll talk to you guys about it more in the morning. Good morning. I'm feeling worse today than I did yesterday, although I don't have a fever today, and it mostly just feels like everything is kind of congested, and I'm trying to stay away from taking decongestant because it'll make me lose my voice really bad. Honestly, me getting sick and then better and then sick again makes me think that I have a regular cold, because this is the exact progression of how my colds happen every single time. Like, I have a day where I'm really sick, and then a day where I'm feeling better and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and then a day where I'm like, oh no, I'm sick still. So I didn't listen to any of Gideon the Ninth yesterday. Oh my god, my head sounds so funny. I didn't listen to any of Gideon the Ninth yesterday, so I need to finish it up today. I think I have 6 hours left and I'm listening on ×2 speed. And then next I am going to listen to, oh my god, I sound so congested. I'm gonna need to go take a decongestant. And next I am going to listen to We, which is from my 12 and 12 video. And then I am going to probably listen to Serpent and Dove, which is for a new video coming out in the future. Also, I read my 40 pages of Legacy of Ash last night. I am using a wine discount card that came like in the mail with your packages as my bookmark, because I use the randomest junk as bookmarks. I read my 40 pages yesterday. I am loving this book, and I literally just want to sit down and read it all. I'm not gonna let myself just like only read this book today. Hello, welcome to the end of the day. I meant to check in with you guys a lot earlier, and then I just didn't. I had a weird day where I just didn't want to read. All I wanted to do was watch booktube videos, so I let myself do that through a large portion of the day, but at a certain point you just gotta sit down and do the reading. So I finished Gideon the Ninth, but it's over there and I don't feel like going and getting it, so I can't hold it up for you. I loved it just as much as the first time. Really enjoyable. 5 out of 5, as I have already read this book once this year because I'm an obnoxious piece of shit. I won't be talking about it with you guys in this video. I might say a few things in my wrap up at the end of the month. Heyo, I thought I would do a really quick update while I'm doing an easy task at work. I'm just renaming files, so let's talk real quick. I forgot to mention last night that Gideon the Ninth was the 100th book that I have read this year. Technically, it's not the 100th book because I did read The Poppy War and Gideon the Ninth twice, so it's the 100th time I've read a book this year, I guess. I also wanted to talk to you guys about the fact that NetGalley has officially released audiobooks. I'm a huge sucker for audiobooks. I love them, in case you don't know this about me. I listen while I'm working, and in fact, I'm listening right now to the first audiobook that I got off of NetGalley. Other genres besides fantasy are way more palatable for me in audiobook format, and one of my favorite genres to listen to is thriller, horror, mystery. I don't know what's up with me, but I hate horror movies. I'm such a wimp, I can't do it. But if you give me a really good horror audiobook, I'm there. So the first one I downloaded was called The Shadows by Alex North, and it's only about 9 hours long. So I'm gonna finish it today because I've been listening to it for probably about an hour already, and I'm loving it. It might be a 5-star read. It's so enjoyable. Sorry about the lighting in this video. I didn't realize that my focus was going to change when I was typing. Hi, so I finished The Shadows by Alex North, and it ended up being a 4-star book. I really loved everything about it except the conclusion. And since it's like a mystery thriller, I can't talk to you guys about that. If you want to know more details on my thoughts of the book, I wrote a lengthy review on Goodreads where I don't spoil anything, and I might say more in my wrap up at the end of the month. I loved it. I loved the writing. I loved the characters. I loved the atmosphere. It's just that ending, and it's oftentimes that thrillers do this to me because the whole entire journey is so good. It's hard to wrap something up that's just as good or even better. I also found out today that on NetGalley you can request / read graphic novels. So I requested like 5 because I don't know why, and I received 2 of them. So I'm going to be at least reading one of those today and one tomorrow. I don't know which one I'm gonna read today or tomorrow, but you'll find out. Hello. So earlier, let me get situated. Earlier I was really wanting to sit down and do some journaling, and that's like the first time I've felt that way in about 7 months. I don't know what happened in 2020. Like, I understand that the world went through chaos, but I have literally drawn almost every single day of my life since I was in high school. And so it's been about 8 years now, and something happened in January where I just stopped. And I've been really like analyzing myself and trying to figure that out, but through all of that as well, I've also let myself not force myself into doing it. So I basically haven't drawn since January. I've done a few things, like maybe every 3 weeks I sit down and do one thing, but today I was just really, really feeling it. But I also needed to do my reading for the day. And then I remembered that originally I had bought Legacy of Ash on audiobook and I had never returned it. And then I had bought the physical book to read because the audiobook was confusing. I had read 80 pages already today. I understood the characters and who was talking and what was going on. So I listened to the audiobook and I didn't have an issue. And I listened up to page 130. So I did I made up the like 5 pages that I missed yesterday. I found out it was way less than I thought it was. And then I did all of today's reading, and then I read like another 10 or 20 pages, which is awesome. So that was good because I could sit and listen to the audiobook and draw at the same time, and I really enjoyed that, and I'm glad that I got to really enjoy that. Remember earlier when I said I requested 5 graphic novels? Well, one of them was denied, but the other 4 were accepted. So I have 4 sitting in my inbox waiting for me to read and review. So I sat down right before I showered and read one, and it was called The Tea Dragon's Tapestry, and it was absolutely the cutest thing I've ever read, but it had like no substance to it. It was so beautiful. First off, I'll try to show some pictures here while I'm talking. I really, really loved the artwork. It was so fantastic, but the story like just didn't have a ton in it. It was all about grief and how different people deal with grief and how different people overcome loss. And so that was beautiful, but it was like nothing actually happened. I will say though that 1, I am not the target audience because I am not a middle schooler, and I am not someone who reads middle grade. And 2, I found out as I started this that this was the 3rd in a series and I hadn't read the first 2, so maybe previous ones would have led me to have a different thought. But I just wanted to share with you guys really quickly. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. The artwork was 5 out of 5. So I just finished We. My voice is really bad. I haven't spoken once yet today, so I don't know how bad it sounds until I start talking. I don't know how to rate this book. I understand its significance and how it influenced later dystopian books, many of which I have read, specifically 1984 and Brave New World, and I believe Fahrenheit 451. I get it. I see its influence in them, but I didn't like it. It felt like a more misogynistic and worsely written 1984. Now, I love 1984. I think it's a great book. But this one just lost me. It's later the same day. I am feeling a lack of motivation to do anything. I'm watching old booktube videos now for some people that I just recently followed, and I like feel this constant pang in my chest of I need to be reading right now, and I'm like, it's okay, I I don't have to be reading because every single time I try to read, I can't focus. I think I'm just anxious overall about my results and waiting for them, and they're still supposed not to show up until tomorrow at the earliest, but I keep checking my portal just in case. I usually go for a walk 2 to 3 times a day, and I haven't done that since last Friday, and it's Thursday now. So I think that doesn't help the situation, that I'm not able to like get out and do anything. I'm anxious, and I'm the kind of anxious where nothing is solving it. I tried watching TV, I tried watching Booktube, I tried drawing, I tried reading. Nothing is solving the problem. So, as you know, I just kind of had an anxiety-filled day earlier, and I couldn't get myself out of my own head. And so finally, I decided on reading one of the graphic novels that I had been approved on NetGalley. So I read this graphic novel called Slaughterhouse-Five, or The Children's Crusade, which is a graphic novel interpretation of Slaughterhouse-Five written by Kurt Vonnegut. This might be my last check-in with you guys because I think my voice is going to be completely gone tomorrow. So I'll leave it open-ended after this, but no promises that I'm going to be coming back and talking to you anymore. Graphic novel was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I've read Slaughterhouse-Five before, and I don't remember what I rated the book when I read it last time, but it was a 3 or a 4 for sure. I really enjoyed it, but I felt like you definitely got lost in the original story. Putting it into graphic novel format loses all of that. You follow the story so much easier. It makes you like really immersed into it, and it made it just understandable and relatable in a way that the novel kind of loses you on. And I loved it. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. It comes out in September, I believe. So I highly recommend in September everyone going and buying it and reading it because it was so dang good. It was so good. The art was good. The message came across so much better than in the original novel. I loved it. I would love to sit and talk with you guys more about it, but my voice is going and I gotta talk to you about something else. So then I also, when I got done with that, which was like 190 pages, I was still feeling kind of funky, but I wanted to keep reading because escapism is real. So I picked up Legacy of Ash again, and I ended up reading 80 pages of it. I am loving this book so much. I'm predicting that it's going to be a 5 out of 5 star read. I actually went online today and found out that the sequel is coming out this November, and I pre-ordered it. So I'm going to be getting it November 5th. I'm going to be reading it then. This right here might be my new favorite book ever written.